without anything, without starting anything, I would like us to recognize that without God, we are nothing. And this financial solution that has been championed by I&M Bank is something worth celebrating and something worth thanking the Lord for. So from I&M Bank team, I would like to invite Irene to lead us in a word of prayer as we honor God for this wonderful day. Let us put our hands together for Pastor Irene from I&M Bank. Her church is around Kingdom, Kampala. Service is on Mondays and Wednesdays, because those are the days the sins are higher. So ladies and gentlemen, let us, wherever you're seated, let us just humble ourselves and we listen to a word of prayer. Thank you.
Morning, our guests. Thank you for honoring our invite. Let's humble ourselves for a word of prayer. Loving Father, we want to thank you for this great morning. We thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the leadership of I&M and I&M Capital and our lovely guests. We thank you that you lead us through this hour as we launch our good product. We thank you for your mercy over us and your grace that is so sufficient. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we have prayed. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. I am sure you have gotten some new flock in your church. Let us put our hands together for Irene for that wonderful prayer. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all to this launch as we celebrate the launch of I&M Capital. And I think for me, it's an honor not just to host, but also to learn a thing or two about investment, because where I am now, I think I've started gathering some wealth and I need to invest it. And I've been looking for a partner. And now, knowing how close my relationship is with I&M Bank, I am very, very happy that at least I have someone who can guide me. So I want to take this opportunity to thank I&M Bank that they realized that ever since I started visiting, there's a building just nearby here in Nakasero, my wealth started to change. My terms are improving. And somehow I needed to invest in this wealth that I've started garnering. So thank you so much, Robin, and your team, because this is a very good initiative. Another financial solution by I&M Bank, besides the premium elite MasterCard, the black card that gives you the Dragon Pass to any lounge, access lounge in any airport in the world that I also have. Look at me. 2, the multi-currency prepaid card by I&M Bank. Up to 9 currencies on one card. So you just load the currency of the country you're visiting and you save yourself from those foreign exchange troubles. For those who have been to Dubai with a Ugandan shillings account, you know what I'm talking about. Every time you swipe and that message comes and you see the difference in the forex that they charge you over there. But I&M Bank said, no, we are going to save you. You load your dirhams from Uganda, you go and spend them in Dubai. So another financial solution courtesy of I&M Bank. And today we celebrate yet again a wonderful solution for those who are thinking of investment seriously. I am not in position to talk about investment and capital because, as I said, I am also here to learn a thing or two, but to give us a clear picture on why we're here. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite the head of marketing and corporate communications from I&M Bank, the wonderful Miss Nachiaga Annette. Let us put our hands together for Annette Nachiaga. When you see her, you see I&M Bank just walking. This lady has done amazing things. So, ladies and gentlemen, the head of marketing and corporate communications from I&M Bank.
In the cracked up street, a dog barked once from a chain link yard and the silver bell.
I think it's it's on. The guest speaker and the chairman of the board of directors of I&M Bank Uganda Limited, Mr. Francis Kamlegea, the regulators, Bank of Uganda, Capital Markets Authority, the I&M Bank board members present, I&M Bank and I&M Capital leadership team, our dear valued customers, members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. They say every great investment starts with a good conversation. And we are delighted to have you this morning and have this good conversation with you all. On behalf of I&M Bank Uganda Limited and the wider I&M Group, we welcome you to the I&M Capital launch. Today marks the beginning of an exciting new chapter as we officially introduce I&M Capital to the Ugandan market. We've gathered an exceptional mix of leaders, investors in this room, this tent, this morning, which means we are yet to have some good conversations, gather some valuable insights, and perhaps make a few unexpected connections, like Salvador has already done. To all our speakers this morning and our guests, thank you for making time to be with us. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's my pleasure to invite the CEO of I&M Bank Uganda Limited, Mr. Robin Bairstow, to share his remarks and officially usher us into this new exciting chapter. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I was going to quote Lewis Carroll, but the poem has just escaped my head. But suffice to say, the time has come, my little ones, to talk of cabbages and kings. And that's as far as I can go now. But welcome, everybody. I'm also going to just refer to protocol and just welcome our chairman, the regulators, the I&M Capital leadership team. We have our group head of our insurance arm, which is not part of our group. They're a cousin, as opposed to an associate. But GA Insurance group head is here, and the chairman of GA Insurance is in the house as well with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all here this morning. Today marks an important milestone, not only for I&M Capital, but for I&M Bank itself and our wider group. It continues the commitment to continuously evolve alongside our customers and respond to their changing financial needs. To appreciate the significance of this occasion, it is important to first understand who we are as the I&M Group. The group is a leading financial services group with operations across East Africa, including Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Mauritius. Over the years, the group has built a strong reputation, delivering innovative financial solutions, surpassing expectations, providing support to businesses, facilitating trade and the trade corridors across East Africa, and helping customers achieve their financial aspirations. In Uganda, I&M Bank has proudly played its part in that journey, from supporting individuals and families to partnering with businesses from every size. And we've just recently started a microfinancing for small businesses. We have remained true to our promise of being on your side, serving as a trusted financial partner for growth. As our customers have grown, so have their ambitions, and we recognize that. Increasingly, our customers are also looking beyond the traditional banking. They are asking new questions. And we've seen that in the growth of the unit trust industry in Uganda over the years, where we have now unit trust assets under management of in excess of 8 trillion Ugandan shillings. Questions they ask is, how do I grow my wealth? How do I diversify my investments? How do I preserve what I've worked for so hard to build? And how do I create long-term value for both myself and my family, as well as my business and our future generations? These are important questions. They reflect the growing sophistication of Uganda's investors and our business community. It is an evolution in customer needs that has brought us here today. Licensed to operate in Uganda in November last year, I&M Capital expands our ability to serve customers by introducing special investments, wealth management solutions into the broader I&M ecosystem. Importantly, I&M Capital does not replace what I&M Bank already does. Rather, it complements our offerings. Together, our banking and investment capabilities create a more complete financial ecosystem, allowing us to support customers at every stage of their financial needs. We recognize that financial needs do not remain static, they evolve, and customers who once needed a simple savings account may now be seeking investment opportunities. Entrepreneurs who once required financing for growth may now be looking at wealth preservation and portfolio diversification. Successful professionals may be exploring opportunities to build sustainable long-term wealth. I&M Capital has been established to help address all of these needs. By combining the strength of I&M Bank and the specialist expertise of I&M Capital, we can now offer our customers a more comprehensive financial proposition, one that brings together banking, investment expertise, advisory services, and access to regional and international investment opportunities. This integration enables us to support customers not only in managing their finance today, but also planning for tomorrow. As we expand our offering, our commitment remains unchanged. We will continue to uphold the highest standards of governance, professionalism, transparency, and our commitment to customer service that stakeholders have become to expect from our brand. Operating within Uganda's regulated capital markets framework is an important part of our commitment and provides confidence that clients are engaging with a business built on sound governance and strong oversight. Today's launch is therefore more than an introduction of a new business. It reflects our confidence in Uganda's future and our belief in growing opportunities within our economy. It is our commitment to supporting customers as their aspirations continue to evolve. It reflects our belief that wealth creation, wealth preservation, and investment planning should be supported by trusted institutions that place customers at the center of everything that they do. Most importantly, it reflects our commitment to being on your side, not only in banking, but across the stage of your financial journey. We're delighted to bring this new chapter to Uganda, and we look forward to working with I&M Capital in the journey we create with all of you. Thank you for joining us this morning at this special occasion. And we thank you for your trust that you place in us every day. I thank you. Sorry, the next speaker has cancelled, so I have to speak again. No, I'm only joking. Salvador has said that I can share part of his fee if I introduce the next speaker, who is our now group CEO and longtime friend of mine, Silas, to come and address us. This is the mastermind behind our I&M Capital business. Silas, you're most welcome.
Got that sunshine, got that vibe. This is how we stay alive. Alive, alive, alive.
Time in the market is better than timing the market. So let me say that again. Time in the market is better than timing the market. So today, if you invest 1 million Uganda shillings at 10% compounded interest for 30 years, you end up with 17.4 million shillings. If you go further and add 100,000 shillings every month to your 1 million principal at 10%, in 30 years, you end up with 246 million shillings. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The guest speaker and the chairman of the board of directors of I&M Bank Uganda, the regulators, Bank of Uganda, Capital Markets Authority, I&M Bank board members, I&M Bank and I&M Capital leadership, our valued customers, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to be here today as we officially introduce I&M Capital. For us, this is much more than a launch of a new business. It is the beginning of a journey that is very close to the purpose for which I&M Capital was created. I&M Capital was created in Kenya and began its operations in May 2021 in Nairobi, and this was in the middle of the COVID pandemic. Starting a business at that time was not very easy. And at one point, out of the 4 members of staff that started I&M Capital, 3 of them actually got COVID. I was the only one that did not. So wealth management solutions had traditionally become available primarily to high net worth individuals, and those solutions remain very important. But we saw an emerging group of young professionals, entrepreneurs and emerging affluent individuals who are building wealth and increasingly asking important questions about how to grow their wealth, protect it and manage it. We wanted to make a professional wealth management more accessible to this group of investors, and that became the foundation of I&M Capital. From those 4 employees, the business grew rapidly through 2022 and the years that followed, and expanded our capabilities, our products and markets we serve. Today, I&M Capital has over 20 employees between Kenya and Uganda, managing over $1 billion in assets. Today, we are proud to bring that experience to Uganda. I&M Capital is the investment and wealth management arm of the larger I&M Group PLC. And our promise is to become your trusted wealth management partner. We do this through financial planning, investment advisory, portfolio optimization, and investment services, helping our clients understand where they are today, where they want to go, and the best way to structure their investments. Locally, in Uganda, we have investments such as the I&M Capital Income Plan. This is a money market solution that is available to our investors, as well as the I&M US dollar wealth plan for those seeking to diversify into US dollar investments. For clients looking to go beyond our local markets, we can provide access to offshore investments opportunities, including exchange-traded funds, popularly known as ETFs, mutual funds, and blue-chip government securities and other global investment opportunities. So why Uganda? Quite simply, we see here the same opportunity that inspired us when we started I&M Capital in Kenya. A growing economy, a young and increased sophisticated professional population, entrepreneurs building businesses, and a growing number of people who want to move beyond simply saving and start investing. In fact, you make the right financial decisions, the greater opportunity to create meaningful wealth over time. Our ambition in Uganda is therefore not simply to sell investment solutions, it is to build a wealth management business that grows with our clients. We want to be there as a young professional builder, as a young professional builds their careers, as an entrepreneur builds a business, as a family grows, as wealth is accumulated, diversified, and ultimately passed to the next generations. We also want to play our part in building a strong culture in investments and financial literacy in Uganda. Because we believe an informed investor is a better investor, most importantly, our commitment will be on your side. When I look back at 2021, when I&M Capital started with 4 employees in the middle of a pandemic, I am reminded that a great business begins with a belief in solving a problem. We believed that more people should have access to professional wealth management, and that belief has brought us here today. We are excited about Uganda, excited about its people, and excited about the opportunity to be part of the country's growing investment and wealth creation story. To our regulators, partners, colleagues, and friends, thank you for supporting us on this journey. To our colleagues at I&M Bank Uganda, we look forward to working together and leveraging the strength of the wider I&M group to create greater value for our customers. And to everyone here today, I invite you to see I&M Capital not simply as an investment company, but as a partner in your wealth journey. And I repeat, our commitment is simple. We want to be your trusted wealth management partner. So with that, I would want to introduce my team in Uganda and the I&M Capital team as well, who are here today. Maybe you can just stand up. So we have our country manager, Mr. Philip Musinguzi, right at the back. Our head of investment advisory based out of Kenya, Mr. Samir Raja, right at the front here. Our investment advisor in Uganda, Mr. Elijah Muchunguzi. We have our operations team led by Esther Nambasa and Patrick Sonko. Thank you very much, and we are really delighted to be here today to share this special occasion with you. You will be seeing more of my team here and ourselves as we come to you and discuss about your investments and your wealth creation. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us appreciate Mr. Silas Mutuku, the Group CEO, I&M Capital. One more time, let us put our hands together. Now, for those who are wondering what these seats were for, well, wonder no more. Because up next, we have the fireside chat, where our board chair, Mr. Francis Kamulegea is going to be on the spot. Now, as he makes his way to his sitting spot, ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together. And I have a simple task for I&M Bank Exco. How well do you know your board chair? We only know, yes, he's the board chairman, yes, he has money, yes. But how well do you know him? I would like my sister Annette Nachiaga, the head of marketing and social corporate communication, to come and help me. We are going to randomly choose any Exco member, and we find out, besides being the board chair and having money, and having a lot of money, by the way, what else do our people in the Exco know about our board chairman, Mr. Francis Kamulegea? Annette. Yeah.
I'd like to start with my boss.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's a career limiting move.
You are putting your boss on the spot.
Yes.
I will not be there tomorrow.
Don't worry about you. Who is Francis? Francis is the best-selling author. Many people spend years writing reports, board papers, and strategy documents. Francis decided that that wasn't enough, and he went and wrote a book. On the 30th of April 2026 at the Sheraton Kampala Hotel, Francis officially launched his book, And Then What? A thought-provoking reflection on leadership, identity, purpose, and life beyond titles and professional success.
Wow, okay.
Thank you so much, Robin.
Just like a typical white man, he Googled and had it printed within record time. Mr. Sam, what do you know about our board chairman?
Board chair. So beyond his many accomplishments, there is one title that holds a special place in Francis's heart. Omukungu wa Kabaka. Through his service on the Buganda Land Board, the Lubiri Palace Development Committee, and the Nabagereka Najinda Women's Fund, Francis has dedicated his leadership and expertise to advancing the kingdom's vision, preserving its heritage, and uplifting its people. That is Francis Omukungu wa Kabaka.
I'll take you to our Chief People Officer at I&M Bank.
Oh,
Lucy.
Chief.
I hope I get bonus next year.
Thank you, Annette. Beyond his having a lot of money, he's very passionate about impact in society. He's known as the co-founder of the Masaka School for the Deaf, and through his involvement in that project, has promoted education, skills, and economic opportunities for those less fortunate than us.
Wow, philanthropist as well. Timothy, what do Kenyans know about our board chair? I know you are in Uganda, but I know you people have Lugambo. You talk too much in Kenya there. What do they know about our board chair?
Thanks, Salvador. So, Francis is an entrepreneur and investor. That's why he has a lot of money. And not content with succeeding in the boardroom, Francis also ventured into agriculture, investing in coffee, value addition, and fish farming, as if leading business wasn't challenging enough. His entrepreneurial journey reflects his belief in creating value, building enterprises, and contributing to Uganda's economic transformation.
Thank you. Salvador, someone who is very close to money markets. Nadia,
Our person.
our treasurer.
The way I respect this woman with all my heart, because I have not yet been paid today.
Good morning, everyone. Proud to be talking about Francis. So aside from all those nice things, he has a very distinguished career in Pricewaterhouse as an expert in audit and tax, which cannot be ignored. But on top of that, when he looks at numbers, he looks at strategy, he looks at opportunity, and he looks at growth. When all of us may just look at it as numbers and spreadsheets. So we are proud of Francis. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Nadia.
For every one of us who's here, look deep within yourself. What would people say about you? Your contribution to the world. Will it be more than 5 people or just one? And that is your spouse. Mr. Francis, you are doing very well. Gibson, what do we have to say about our board chair?
Thank you. Besides Francis driving my dream car, and when Silas was saying 1 million plus 100,000 every month in 30 years, I got it. Francis, besides chairing the I&M Bank Uganda board, sits on the Old Mutual Kenya board, sits on the MTN Uganda board, as well as the Quality Chemicals Industries board. While most of us are making decisions, Francis ensures that they are the right decisions. He's a champion of accountability, good governance, and we get paid in time.
Wow. With such a portfolio for one person, and you are there wondering why we are having one person in power for over 40 years. Ugandans, you are funny. Anyway, to put him more on the spot, please allow me invite the country manager, I&M Capital, Mr. Philip Musinguzi, to put our board chair on the grill. Let us put our hands together for our country manager, I&M Capital.
Cut so deep, but you still sing. Round and round, don't set me free.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yeah, I don't know about putting Mr. Francis Kamulege on the spot, given the profile that has just been read out about him. But just to say a few things about Francis that I personally know. I know Francis to be a professional in the world of tax, an astute businessman, but most importantly, and the reason as to why we are seated here today with him at the fireside chat, is because of his skill in creating, in building, and also managing wealth. And we hope that with this conversation, we are able to learn a thing or two about how he has been able to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please join me in welcoming Mr. Francis Kamulegea, the board chairperson, I&M Bank. So Francis, our fireside chat is going to be quite an easy one. I wanted to start off with a quick, rapid round of questions. There's no correct answer, there's no wrong answer. It's simply you choose any of the two. You have 3 seconds to answer the question, and not more than that.
Okay.
Fantastic. Yeah. Toyota or Mercedes-Benz?
Mercedes-Benz. S-Class 450 Grand Edition.
Arsenal or Man U?
None of the above.
That's not an answer.
All right. Arsenal on behalf of my wife.
Oh, okay, okay, brilliant. Golf course or boardroom?
Boardroom of late. Golf course happened so many years ago, but haven't been on the course for almost 6 years now.
Okay. Red or yellow?
Orange.
All right, thank you very much, Francis. So we'll just get into it. And I just want us to ease our way into this conversation, Francis. A lot has been said about I&M Capital. The CEO has mentioned the solutions that I&M Capital has.
Yep.
He's mentioned the service that we provide. But I just want to take a step back and keep it very simple. Francis, you've had a illustrious career.
Correct.
You have had a career where you have earned, where you have invested. They've talked about your wealth within this room. And I just want to understand from your perspective, what have you learned to be the difference between simply accumulating money throughout the years and also investing money. Simply put, what would you say is the difference between saving and investing? Just to start off.
Okay, thank you, Philip, and thank you, I&M Exco team, for the introduction. You said bits and pieces about me, which actually I didn't know, and now I have to reframe my entire conversation just to manage expectations. But let me start with a disclaimer. Everything I'm going to share here, I'm sharing it based on personal experience. So in 2005, which is about 21 years ago, I was admitted as a partner in PwC. And when you become partner, you become part owner of the business. You cease to earn a salary. You start sharing in profits. I was very hardworking, used to bring in a lot of business and had great relationship with clients, and I was a very valued member of the team. And the first month I got paid, I was surprised at the amount of money that I was given. It was a lot of money compared to what I was used to earn as an employee. And from there on, I started on my journey of managing that money and investing and financial wellness. And I thought I should just give that as a background. So I understand the difference between earning, which is a lot of where the young people who are still building their career are. You earn, by the way of example, 100. If you spend 100, then you have nothing to show for what you've earned. So I used to spend less, and that allowed me to save. So you earn, you spend, don't spend everything, save, and then when you've saved, you then have enough for a bank like I&M Bank to consider you credit worthy, and then they lend you money. So you may have saved 100, then they lend you 900, and then suddenly you have 1,000. And then that 1,000, you invest. And I went through that phase of investing for quite some time. And then when I transitioned out of full-time employment, capital preservation was very, very important for me, and that's the phase of life I'm in, which is not only preserving it, but also ensuring that it's earning passive income for me, and that has resulted in diversifying and, money markets and saving for a purpose, access to the money in terms of liquidity, while at the same time putting it aside to ensure that it's transferable. Many of us with our Gen Zs, they're not going to inherit our coffee and cattle and property. We need to think about that, otherwise you can end up working so hard, accumulating so much money, and you have nothing to show for it by way of transfer to the next generation. So that, in summary, is the way I've managed my financial affairs. Philip.
All right, thank you for that. I think the key thing you've mentioned there is the savings culture that you had, the fact that you were not spending everything and that you are keeping something to put back within the market. I think that's the key takeaway from what you've just shared with us, Francis. And I hope it is something that we can all take away, that saving is not really for consumption, but so that we can deploy within the market.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So Silas just mentioned the products that we have. He mentioned the I&M Capital Income Fund, which is our UGX fund. He's mentioned the I&M Capital Wealth Fund.
Yes.
And I'm just inquiring or inquisitive, if you had 100 million, sorry, scratch that. They've described you as a very rich man. So if you had $1 billion,
okay,
with a B,
yes,
I'm just curious to understand how you would invest this money. Would you put this money in investments that have the highest return? Would it be return driven? Would you be just looking at the number and saying, yes, I want 30, 40%.
Yeah.
It doubles the money in 6 weeks. I want that one. What would you be looking at?
Okay, so if I had $1 billion, first of all, I would split it into some 4 or so units to ensure that I diversify in terms of my investment products. But before even I decide on where to put that money, I look at myself and envision my needs in the next 10, maybe 5, 10, 20 years. And I'm at a phase of life where I still continue to pay school fees and university tuition. So that's very important in terms of liquidity, a phase of life where I like traveling, and I really like this multi-currency card of ours. But also it helps when you go somewhere and you have something to draw upon without having to make a call and ask whether they've sold the coffee or sell a cow so that you can have dinner in Portugal, Spain. So I am very, very interested in diversifying and having hard currency. Then the risk appetite. I would consider myself to be moderately risk, but not very high risk, because my main objective is more of preserving the wealth and the capital, while at the same time it's growing at a rate that is acceptable for me and to generate liquidity, while at the same time funding my lifestyle. So I would look at the local money markets. There's some really, really good products on the local markets, and you know them better than me. I'd look at hard currency to ensure that my USD, pound, euro demands, I've got some base somewhere. Most importantly, I would not put everything in one country, not even in one region, because diversification is very, very important. And then thirdly, I would ensure that I've got access to liquidity. So if for any reason I needed 200 million shillings or $30,000, I wouldn't have to worry about selling bonds. Bonds are tradable and you can easily sell them very quickly, but also you can make a loss because of the urgency with which you need the money. But I'm at a phase of life where I've gone through a process which I call decluttering. So I've got very, very little fixed assets by way of land, buildings, and most of my wealth is in money markets and tradable assets because of the profile of my children and the people that I want to transfer this wealth to, and also my various philanthropic and charitable causes. It's very difficult to sell a flat in a condominium over 14 apartments for you to raise $50,000 to go for a procedure in Turkey or Thailand. And again, we are at that age where any of those things can happen. Even if you had medical insurance, and I talk about it in my book, still insurance, and the GA people here can confirm, there is a process they go through before they authorize and approve a 30,000 medical expenditure. So you need to have access to that kind of money. And that is something that I've done for myself, and I would strongly recommend to people to do that for themselves.
All right, thank you for that. So it would not be purely driven by the return number, but what I hear there is your risk profile, your horizon, in terms of time, how much time are you looking at in front? I also had you mention access to liquidity. How fast can I convert this particular investment into cash?
Correct.
To go to Italy is what I heard.
Correct, yeah. Wherever it may be. Yeah. It could be in Nairobi or South Africa. Could even be here in Uganda. Okay. Yeah, but you need the cash and you need to have access to it.
To liquidity. Yeah. Okay, great. So just going back again to the products, and I want to go back to the 1 billion.
Yes, sir.
For some reason, I think you have it actually, right on you. Just to go back to the 1 billion shillings. If you had the 1 billion, I&M Capital has now launched into the market. Mm-hmm. And you came to I&M Capital and you said, look, I'm interested in your UGX income plan that you have. Mm. What are some of the things that you would be looking out from ourselves? Some of the answers that you're looking at such that you are able to make this decision to join our UGX fund?
Okay, so I am a fairly informed and quote-unquote sophisticated investor because of my financial knowledge and also the different things that I've been able to do. So I would start off by asking to understand the profile of your different products. And secondly, I would want to know where those investments are going to be made. So you talk about your bonds, unit trusts, treasury bonds, treasury bills, you name it, dollar-denominated, UGX, and that is something that I would be very interested in. And then the next question would be on the return. So, as I said earlier on, I would want to diversify. So, 15, 16% return on Uganda treasury bills, very, very exciting. But likewise, to preserve hard currency, I'm prepared to consider 3, 4%, 5%, wherever that could be earned in hard currency, whether it's local or elsewhere. I would want complete transparency in terms of your fees and charges, because very often investment advisors are very quick to talk about returns and what you can make and whatever, but I understand finance, so I want to know how much you're charging. I would challenge you to tell me whether whatever it is that you're saying you're going to do for me, I can't do it for myself. And I know you have access to, you know, collective investment schemes and corporate bonds that I cannot just walk in and make a call and invest in. And I would then share with you my demands and needs in terms of the financial. So personal in terms of liquidity, school fees and tuition fees, then medical and health and wellness, and my social spend, so that then you come on board as a partner, not just somebody who is doing a transaction to earn a commission and leave me to sort out myself. So to maybe even prepare you for the conversation we're going to have, I would expect you also to do some research on me, so that, you know, there's so many years ago, about 5 years ago, I used to get a call from a bank asking me whether I wanted a salary loan. And the call was coming from what they call DSR, direct sales reps. So they get names, then they get telephone numbers, and this lady, very young lady, she didn't know me, she had never heard of me, and she was talking to me about a salary loan. And I told him, actually, I'm the one who pays salaries. and I went to see her, and then eventually I got a consultancy with a bank to train them and teach them about KYC and how they need to know clients, and then profile them. And since then, that bank has a very good portfolio of what they call HNI, high net worth individuals or something like that. So I wouldn't expect to come to you and you talk to me about things that I've done 20 years ago. Am I?
Yeah, I think
yes, Philip. God.
That's quite a bit. I think for us, it's something to think about for everybody in this room, that we need to do our homework on the different persons that come to ourselves.
Very true, yeah.
Yeah, just so that we are able to profile them.
And have a meaningful conversation.
And, yeah,
otherwise, you can easily end up being very transactional, and you just get my 1 billion,
yes,
instead of actually getting the entire portfolio of my investment club.
Correct. Yeah, but I also like what you've mentioned, that some of the things that you're looking out for are the fees that we charge on the particular investments. You're looking at where are we investing this money. I think that's very key for ourselves. But just to go back to the previous question that I had asked, and to knock on liquidity, really. Yeah. You've mentioned a lot of things. You've mentioned the multi-currency card. You've mentioned the fact that you need liquidity. You've mentioned the obligations that you currently have in terms of paying school fees. And I just want to expound a little bit on that and understand from your perspective what part your portfolio personally, and from your experience, what part has it played in ensuring that you are able to successfully meet your obligations during this particular course or section of life that you're in?
Okay, that's a good question. And this Chatham House rules, I'm among friends. So I'm going to share a lot, because I think it's really important that I share and put this into life, and then people can reflect on what they may wish to do, sure, and how they can partner with I&M Capital to make them realize their financial plans. So we, Ugandans and people of my generation, we invest at times and acquire things for sentimental reasons. At times we are challenged by our elders. You know, you have not done anything in the village, and how can you have 4 blocks of apartments in Kiwatule and Nigeria and Bugolobi, but you've not built a house in Iganga or, you know, Uganda or Kalisizo, and then you end up doing those things. But you have 2 children, and the children are going to Green Hill Academy, and the team from Green Hill is here. From there, they go to Bristol University or Kent or Harvard or wherever it is, even Strathmore, Makerere. But you are investing them in a manner that just shows their future is not in going to go back and look after the cows or cattle in Uganda or coffee in Kalisizo. And you then end up in a situation where you have so many assets, fixed assets, that are not income generating. You can sit in a place like this and share with your friends how many land titles you have, but they're not income generating. You may even photograph the titles and have them on your phone, and you swipe and show them the acreage and their locations, but actually they're not generating income. And I decided to declutter and got rid of all that stuff. I stayed with about 3 assets and put my money in money markets. And then did it in such a way that my children are going to, whether it's talking about wealth transfer or inheritance, I'm very, very realistic that even if I gave her, I've got 4 daughters, even if I gave her a title of 40 acres of land in Masaka where my coffee is, she might sell it on the phone. So I then put money into a product even that she understands. So you could buy a bond in Sainsbury's. There are USD and pound bonds paying 4.75%, 5.2%. So somebody who's studying in University of Kent who shops at Sainsbury's, to tell her that I actually I'm an investor in Sainsbury's, she can relate with that, but it's not her money yet, but it is money seated somewhere, managed by I&M Capital, and it is generating passive income, which goes to meet her day-to-day expenses, whether it is, because it's not big enough to pay the tuition fees, but that money is there. And because that money is there, you start then talking to her about what you've done as a person and also educating her in terms of savings. I was very fortunate that I learned saving at a very early age, and I was 26 years, I attended a course. I was a student in the UK, and I asked a gentleman, when should I start saving? And he told me, it should have been yesterday, but if you haven't started yet, start today. I said, great. Then the next question is, how much should I save? Then he asked me, what are you saving for? I said, okay. I didn't know what I was saving for. I was 26 years, I was still very young, and I wanted to enjoy my money. Then he said, okay, a simple formula, get your age, and this is where people get their calculators and pens and paper. Get your age, divide it by 2, you get a number. I was 26, divide by 2, you get 13. And 13 is the percentage of your net take-home pay you should aim to save on a monthly basis. And Philip, that sounds big, but let me tell you, it's already happening. If you are in formal regular employment in Uganda here, 15% already goes to NSSF on a monthly basis. So if you are 30 and below, you are ahead of that formula already. But if you are 45, it's possible that you can actually save an additional 5% over the 15% that is already happening. Because if you do that, and there are lots of people here, let me speak about the I&M Bank people, who can afford to save $1 million shillings a month, based on how much I know we pay them. Save $1 million shillings a month for 20 years at a compound interest rate of 12%. Lately, NSSF pays up to about 12 or 13. For 20 years, you'll have $1 billion shillings. Philip, $1 billion shillings in 20 years. You're 35 years, you commit to save $1 million shillings every month for the next 20 years. By the time, you won't even be my age. By the time you're 55, which is my age 5 years ago or 4 years ago, you'll have $1 billion shillings. And you then get into the phase of life I'm in, how to preserve it, how to make it work for you, and your money works when you're enjoying life.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know about getting that money before your age. I'm also quite old, Francis. Then
you just increase on the percentage.
On the percentage. But so I was just wondering which course is that, so that for the young professionals in the room, we can subscribe to this course that changed the course of your financial future.
So the course is this. When you earn, spend less so that you save. How do you get to spend less? Desire less. How get to desire less? Less social comparison. And know you're enough, run your own race, and don't worry about Francis driving an S-Class 450 grand edition, because that is something that has happened after working for 30 years and saving for 30 plus years. So there's no cost of where you're going to go to university. You know how much you earn, you know how much you spend, you can just make the odd change here and there. And if you cannot keep that money yourself, speak to Philip. And he puts it into a product. There's visibility, there's transparency. Instead of showing land titles on your smartphone, show the bank statement, the income statement, the treasury statement, showing that you actually have invested in Capital One, PLC, it's one of those big, or Amazon, or you name it. And some of those organizations are going to be here for quite some time. Products are tradable, the fixed income is paid on a regular basis, but most importantly, it is also transferable, especially to the younger generation. So don't waste time going to a course, just change your spending habits. And I'm quite happy to have a one-on-one on that one, just to share experience, if anybody is interested.
Thank you very much, Francis. Thank you for that. So you mentioned doing homework on the prospective people that you're going to be speaking to, just so that you can have a relevant conversation. And Francis, I must say that I did my homework on you just before we were scheduled for this particular fireside chat. And I think you've also spilled a little bit about what I wanted to drive into, which is investing outside the country. You've dropped names such as Amazon. You've dropped international companies that we very well know within this room. And I just wanted to get your opinion on the particular role that those investments have for you. Those investments are particularly in hard currency, usually in the United States dollars. So what has that played for you, and why should any of the persons within the room, the entrepreneurs, the investors within the room, be looking at such investments?
Okay, what they've done for me is to give me access to markets that I would not have had just doing things myself. Two, we are very highly educated, informed. You know, we read, we see things on TV, you see things on social media, but at times we don't take time out just to ask, you know, how are people making money out there? And very, very few people make the money from real estate. In fact, those who make money from real estate make a lot of money, because not everybody owns real estate in those parts of the world. And then you find a few people who are owning it and everybody else is renting from them. But most importantly, it is through tradable instruments, shares and bonds, and investments of that kind. So what I like with I&M Capital, and I'm really, really happy that you know, I&M Capital is here, because I've been one of those people who have been asking for it, because I do a lot of my investments through Bank One, which is our sister company in Mauritius. And the wealthy individuals in our country need to be educated about the need to diversify, both from a product perspective, currency perspective, and also market perspective, so that everything that you've worked for and has saved for the years is not just in one basket. Two, they also need to start looking beyond their time and think about wealth transfer to the next generation, and be very, very realistic that our millennials and Gen Zs are not going to be very excited about, you know, coming and taking over our warehouse selling cement and iron bars, which a good friend of mine has made a lot of money in that business and sent the children to Bristol University. I think she wanted her to come back and sell cement, and I told her she would not. And please don't even talk to her about that. She'll be very depressed, because you sent her there for a reason. And then she says, but what are all these things for? I said, they are your things, they're not hers. But ask her what she wants, and then I can guide you on how you can take care of her, so that also she starts something of her own. So we need to have some really tough conversations with senior people who are wealthy, but it's very clear that wealth might not be transferred to the next generation the way it is structured, and also protect the younger generation and prepare them for that wealth transfer by ensuring that that wealth is in a manner in which it can be transferred to them, and they make meaningful use of it. So diversify, speak to professionals like yourself, and be open. You know, when you go to a doctor, you tell them everything, because unless you tell them everything, they won't know what the problem is. When you go to a lawyer, you tell them everything, and then they decide how to use the law to support you and protect you. Likewise, you know, when I come to you, you know a bit about me, but I'll tell you a lot more, and then I will challenge you in terms of what more you can do for me and what you can do for me differently, which already I'm not doing. And I'm very, very open to new ideas. So very, very exciting time for I&M Capital in this market. But most importantly, invest. Don't you know, spread yourself so thin. You know, the very target audience of people who really want to preserve their wealth, want their money to make money for them while they're doing other things, but most importantly, want to have access to their money and also want to be able to transfer that money to the next generation. And you'll get very good clients. And the beauty with that group of people is that when you do something for them, those bagaga, they recommend other people, and then they get into a space where it's not about driving Range Rovers, but it's where you're investing your money. And somebody turns up to those social events of theirs and says, oh, I've got money in Amazon and Nvidia and Sainsbury's and Santander. They say, well, nobody talks about pine and has avocado anymore as a result of that, because the conversation has changed completely.
Right. So I just want to make this a little bit practical and get into some of the numbers. I know you're a numbers person. You've been with PwC for 27 years, if I'm not wrong. So I just wanted to give an illustration, and maybe you could share with us, based off of your experience, an illustration of an investment of 100,000 that is made within the market. You have quite a bit of experience investing in the corporate bond market, and this is part of the research that I found out around you.
Yes.
What does an investment of, say, for example, 100,000 within the offshore market or outside Uganda at a rate of about 5% actually mean for an investor? What are they getting out of it? What are they looking at, basically?
So, Philip, 100,000 currency, please.
My apologies, US dollars.
All right, okay. Otherwise, Salvador might start thinking that, you know. So 100,000 US dollars, there is, like I said, I'm quite happy to share here. So there's a bond I did through one of my fund managers, and it pays 5.3%, yeah? And that's quite high for a USD, but it's it's AAB in terms of credit rating. And again, when people come to you, we have to explain all those things so that people understand the risk. Bonds are not entirely risk-free, but they are a lot more, they are a lot safer than lots of other things that I've invested in. So 100,000 did it through that fund manager of mine, and it's sitting at somewhere outside of the country. Then I transfer my instructions are that the coupon payments go to my daughter's bank account, and in a way, again, I'm also now teaching her financial management at a very early age. You know, she sees £2,675 on her bank account. Very, very exciting. But I tell her, actually, you told me your rent is 200 pounds a month, and then your upkeep is another 175. So you make sure that that money lasts you a whole year. And suddenly she has so much pressure because this money is available, she can see it, but she cannot spend it. And then I monitor it remotely, you know, all these gizmos and tech that we have. But in a way, I have peace of mind in the sense that I've got 100,000, which if I decided to liquidate, I just make one call and I'll have that money and utilize it. Secondly, that money is always there because it's being preserved, it's the capital, and it's not what we're spending. But thirdly, it's generating passive income to somebody who benefits from it, and also suddenly learning to manage money without having to worry whether I've sold coffee or not. And that's the way I've dealt with it. And it gives you peace of mind. Also, it gives you some meaningful conversation now to have with the children. Because when they are not with you anymore, you know, they are following people on Instagram and you cannot have that conversation. They are doing things. But now when you talk about money and investments and whatever, and they are into the thing, it becomes a totally different conversation. And then they can ask you, oh, how did you do this? How come, when did you earn it? You know, so what, how much more money do you have and who else have you done it for? I say, you leave those ones for me. This is the one for you, and focus on what has been allocated to you. So that's what I've done, Philip. But that's a real life, personal example and experience.
Yes, yes. I noticed that you mentioned peace of mind, to paraphrase financial security, all of which have been brought about by the investments that you have made over time. And I also wanted to expound a little bit on that.
Yes.
This current season that you're in, having had the illustrious career that you have had, and now you're in this season where you are a farmer, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
Published author too.
Very true.
Quite a lot of needs. And I want to go back to the issue of liquidity.
Yeah.
And I just want to understand, for the season that you're in, of what importance have you seen this liquidity to be to you? Why is it that you have chosen for your investment portfolio to look the way it looks, having gone out of a couple of investments and come into the money markets? What play are you trying to have there? What are you trying to achieve with this liquidity play, really?
Yeah, okay, so when you use the words liquidity and whatever, as the fund manager and expert, you know, that's your language.
Yes.
Mine is a very simple one. I go back to, say, 30 years ago, even more than 30 years, maybe 35 years ago. And I think of the journey that I started as working. And then I ask the people who are still in that space, why do you work? Mm-hmm. Now, when you ask yourself, why do you work? You cannot just say to earn money and pay bills, because now that leads me to my favorite question and phrase, and then what? And after I've paid bills, then now I can save money for school fees. Excellent. And then what? Then I've paid school fees for my children and this, that. And then you ask yourself, and then what, 5 times? Then suddenly you realize that actually you work so hard so that you may stop working at some point and then enjoy life.
Yes.
Now, how much time do you need to be doing that so that you stop working and then have sufficient money and enjoy life? Because if you continue doing that and you don't know what is your enough, you'll never stop. Because very often you think you're okay until you look through the window and you see something new, more shiner, bigger, faster, you know, whether it's on social media or on the road, and then suddenly you feel very insecure and you go back into the rat race and you are starting all over again. So I got into a phase where I kind of defined what is my enough, and I know what it is, but also I'm very, very passionate on quite a number of social causes, you know, education for deaf children, skills training for the youth, supporting causes for Buganda Kingdom. I do a lot of work with our church, Masaka Diocese, Catholic Church. So then that means all your investments and the liquidity and the financing is got a purpose. And it enables you then to do those other things that are important to you without having to worry about, you know, bills and school fees and medical and stuff like that. And some things that you have to get right. Number one, especially for people, I'll be 60 next year. And if you don't have medical insurance yet, before 60, it becomes very, very difficult. So I've stayed in the PwC retirees medical insurance scheme, which is very, very expensive, but you have to be in it. Because most likely you might need it when you're 72 or 83, but you have to be in it. And to go back to where we started, the life cycle of money you earn, where most of you are now, you save. You should be saving most of what you earn. Spend, of course, you have to spend so that you also have a meaningful life. Then invest. You cannot wait to invest based on how much you've saved. The concept of credit worthiness is you have saved some money and now you are credit worthy, meaning you are worthy of credit. So you have got 20 million, we can lend you 80 million because you've proved to us as a bank that you're somebody we can trust. And then you are able to invest 100. And the final phase where I am is protection or preservation. And I think that's where you really come in. Because you want to preserve my wealth while at the same time ensuring that it's continuing to generate income. And I'm not looking to make so much more money because I think I've made enough and I know what is enough. But most importantly, I want to preserve what I've made so that I don't then end up not having anything to show for the 35 years of work. Yeah. And I think that gives you a very good problem.
Yeah. Salvador said I was going to put you on the spot. Can you tell us what that enough number is? Maybe we could borrow a leaf?
It's not a number. It is a mindset. Okay. It is a mindset. Because let's talk about cars, yeah? So I'm a farmer. My farm is in Masaka. My home is in Masaka. The other home is in Kiwatule. I only have one car. So when people see me driving to Masaka, they say, but is that the car you use for farming? I say, no, I don't use this car for farming. It's the car I drive to home. But say you're a farmer, you should have like a double cabin Hilux pickup. You know, we have some of those things at Nissan or Toyota. Yes. And I say, no, why should I have a double cabin pickup? Because that's the car really that you need for a farmer. And then I say, how about this one? Oh, this one is for just cruising in town and, you know, going to corporate events of I&M Bank and, you know, parking it out there and pointing at it. And I say, I only need one car. Yeah? And I buy a car once a year in 8 years. I spend obscene amounts of money because I know where they are and I know what I want. And then I drive it for 8 years. And that's my enough. And somebody then has 4 cars. There's a friend of mine who had 7 cars. He needed them for his business and or his lifestyle. But during lockdown, they all parked in his compound. And he said he even never knew that there were that many. He's a very rich guy. Yeah. But then he had certain challenges with loan repayments. And then I went during the lockdown again. He had so much property. So we went under the conversation. He had 7 cars in his compound. He had so many shopping malls in town which were empty. And the banks had given him 6 months. And after 6 months, they asked him, you have to start paying. He came to me to support them and their group to lobby for the government to ask the banks to forgive the debt. Right. And we had to have a very simple conversation about banking. And it's amazing how people are not that knowledgeable about banking, yet they use banks. So basically I explained to them that that money that was given to you belongs to somebody else. And in most cases, when you go to the counter, even before you leave, after you've deposited, you see that very same notes that you deposited being given to somebody else. That's how banks work. They're intermediators. So you need now to speak to those people who deposited with the bank to allow the bank to forgive you for the money they gave you, much as you promised that you'll bring it back. He thought I was very cruel and very mean and very insensitive. To cut the long story short, I helped him sell 3 of the properties, paid off the debt, sold 3 cars. I think he's got 4. And he's invested in money markets. And he cannot stop talking about those products of his. And when he travels and tells people that there's a bond he bought in Santander. Santander is one of the biggest banks in Europe. And he saw it and said, I went to my company because he's an investor. And he was also excited. Yes. So enough is a mindset, Philip. At times you look at the stuff you have and you wonder whether you really need it. And then you look outside through the window and you see all the poverty and the people who deserve but they don't have, and you ask yourself, are you meant to keep it, or actually you're supposed to be a custodian and a steward through which all these blessings should be passing through your hands to somebody else? So that mindset helps you to free yourself both financially, run your own race, and do things that are important for you. So I won't tell you how much I spent to buy the car, but you'll see it and you'll give it a price tag. But when you're driving from Masaka, God forbid, even if anything happened, by the time the 19 airbags all, collapse into you, if it was meant to be your day, it happens. If it's not meant to be, you say, thank God to Carl Benz as Mercedes.
Enough is a mindset. It's not a number. I think that's the key thing that I take out of this. But it also resonates very well with financial planning, if you think about it. That in financial planning, ideally, the way that you want to have conversations with investors is using a goal-based approach. Where do you want to land? Where do you want to fall? And where do you want to fall? What is your target? What is your goal? I go back to what you said. You ask yourself, why 5 times? Yes. In other spaces, they say that you list down what it is you want to achieve 5 times over. So those are 25 times. Just to make sure that you are sure that this is where you want to land, that it is not something frivolous that has been pushed by society.
True.
Yeah. So right on the money there, Francis.
Yes. Thank you.
But I just want to take a segue into what you mentioned. You mentioned preservation. Yeah. And we've talked quite a bit about that through the investments that you've made over time. But I want to pivot into wealth transfer. You've mentioned your daughter. Yeah. You've mentioned the investment that you have where the coupon goes to her account.
Yes.
And she's supposed to deduct rent and also save.
Yes.
As a financial planning lesson. But what arrangements have you made with regards to wealth transfer? What's your experience there? What can you give to the investors, to the entrepreneurs that are in the room around the subject of wealth transfer?
Yeah, so it's a very good question, very, very live, especially in this Uganda of ours and people of our generation. We've worked really, really hard to achieve whatever we've been blessed with. We would not want it to end with us, but there's a risk that it may end with us, because for us it will end. Yeah, there's no question about that, but it shouldn't end when we end. So all the discussions we had earlier on about, asset rich, cash poor, having so many physical assets that are not income generating, but, they are ostentatious and they are things that, you're passionate about. Maybe there is some attachment of some sort to you as a person. Many of us grew up from very poor childhoods. So everything that we'd never had, we have now amassed so much of it, yet we cannot use a lot of it. But interestingly, again, our children are of a different generation. They don't like so much stuff. In fact, they even call your things stuff. Yeah, and you say, but how can you call my things stuff? And they say, but it's your stuff. So to ensure that you have a smooth transfer of wealth, if you're fortunate and you've got them involved in an enterprise at an early age, then that means they're stakeholders and most likely they would want to be part of it. But if their aspirations, ambitions, desires are different, then it's incumbent on you to find a way you reorganize your wealth, whether it is assets, whether it's land, whether it's cows, coffee, you name it, in such a way that some of it can be transferred to them for continuity as part of your legacy. But if you realize that cannot happen, then you have to do something different. And like I said, I'm going to share this as well. Yes. First of all, I hope people who haven't bought my book are going to buy it, because a lot of this is the book. But I set up a vocational training institute in Masaka. It's not a commercial enterprise, but it's not for, okay, I say it's not for profit in the sense that if it doesn't make profit, I'm not going to, end up not having anything to eat. True. But on the other hand, also it's not for making a loss. So I've structured it in such a way that I want it to be self-sustaining. But my number one objective was to provide skills training to the youth, especially after seeing our deaf children, much as we provided primary education, still the opportunities for them were very limited beyond primary school. So that institute is a very well constructed, very nicely built, equipped, licensed enterprise. It currently employs about 42 people. Last year it had 122 learners. It's been going for only 3 years. I know my family, I know their interests, I know their capabilities. Then I also know my extended family as well. So I made a decision to transfer part ownership of that institute to Masaka Diocese. And Masaka Diocese is very, very good at education institutions or social enterprises. So people went to Namagunga, St. Mary's Kisubi, Namiriango, Nabingo, all the likes. Those are institutions that have been around for close to 100 years, owned by the diocese. So when I did that, then for me now, I know this institute will continue. And I don't have to worry about my wife and children to do what I'm doing. Because what I'm doing, I'm very passionate about it, Philip, but it's not their passion. So it's really important that the people who are, especially the entrepreneurs who have such enterprises, should think about structures of that kind. If they are social enterprises, then it's very easy to partner with faith-based institutions. If they are commercial enterprises and they are well managed, it's very easy to attract private equity. That requires you to be ready to let go of ownership and bring on other partners. But if you want to own it outright, all the years, everything, the truth is, it might not continue after you. And it will be very, very unfortunate for it to end with you. And the children are going to continue just talking about my father or my mother used to have this thing, and it's, it's not our thing. It was never our thing, and I wish he had used it also to support us to do our own thing. So as you speak to the, wealthy people, clients of yours, the conversation should be broader, because then that will inform them to maybe liquidate some of those passive non-income generating assets, so that they put the money in I&M Capital and generate income for their interest and causes, while at the same time ensuring that there is something to pass on to the younger next generation. That's what I've done, and I strongly recommend it. You have to be ready to let go.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You're not going away with anything. Yeah. Francis, thank you very much for sharing that, most especially because you are sharing personal experiences firsthand, not just theory. It's actually something that is live to you. I can see Salvador prompting me for time, but just before we leave, and I've really enjoyed this conversation, just before you leave, I just want you to put yourself in a scenario. If you had some wealth and you wanted to invest it, you had some money, you had some savings, to use the word that we used at the beginning, and you are looking to invest this money, and you are looking to invest this money with I&M Capital.
Yes.
What are some of the things, what are some of the answers you'd want to get from I&M Capital as an organization before you can entrust them with this money that you've accumulated over time?
Okay, one, governance, that goes without saying by virtue of you being regulated and licensed, but it's really important that that is a given, but but I would ask it. I have lost money doing other things, and at times, as they say, if the story is too good to be true, usually it is too good to be true. so I lost some big money, doing things with some friends of mine. But before we lost it, we made some really good money as well.
Usually that's the case.
Exactly, yes. So you have to be very clear about your risk appetite, and that's why the portfolio diversification is very, very important. So one, the governance is important because I'm entrusting you with my wealth. Two, and I talked about it earlier on, to understand the different products and services that you are going to be investing in on my behalf. Three, transparency around charges, very, very important, so that there are no surprises. And I also want you to be my partner on my journey. Because as I bring my billion or 100,000, show an interest in me as well. Why am I investing? What is my current lifestyle demands in terms of income obligations? And much as you may be very, very excited to take the entire portfolio, maybe also be candid and honest enough to tell me that, maybe you may want to put some 10,000 or so, or $5,000 in life insurance or medical insurance, because you at this age and whatever, God forbid, if you have any problem, yes, we can sell the bond and give you the cash to go to Turkey or Thailand for whatever. But I think you really want something with a reputable insurance that GA is here. I'm a director in Old Mutual, and we have some really, really interesting products for people of my kind, both in terms of profile, health, wellness, and we've done this, and most insurance, these wearables, a lot of the insurance companies now use that data to even give you some really good products in terms of your life insurance. And then, don't make it just a one-off. I gave you money, you invested it, and there's no ongoing communication and conversation. And I don't want you to get into my life and come into my space. But I also likewise want you to tell me when things are happening out there. If I came and invested and you put it somewhere paying me 3.75%, then something new comes on the market paying 5.2, you know my risk profile, share with me that product and let's have a conversation. And, we run a spreadsheet, I'll sell it, liquidate it, these are the costs, but I'm happy to sell at a loss so that I invest in this new product and I'm a long-term investor. And that long-term relationship, because I'm building wealth, I'm preserving wealth, and you are my partner, as opposed to somebody who just took my money and did your things and your fees and don't want to talk to me anymore until there's something new. So show interest in me, while at the same time respecting the boundaries, because I may be your client, it doesn't mean I want to be your friend.
Very interesting way to end that question. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our fireside conversation with Francis. I hope this conversation has been one that has helped you get some insight, given the journey that he has shared, his financial journey that he has shared. And I hope that we all have something to look and think about, that wealth management is not purely just selling investment products. But what we are trying to do is make sure that within the different sections, times of your lives, that you have achieved financial independence in each and every one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking Mr. Francis Kamulegea for his time. Thank you, Francis.
Wow. One more time, let us appreciate. This was a very wonderful conversation. When a rich man says, I have a friend, has money, is rich, where does that leave us? How do I say that now? But thank you so much, our board chair, Mr. Francis, for that very enlightening. Actually, it was a testimony. Yeah, and I've learned a thing or two. Yeah, but I have some years to catch up, so don't worry. I'm not under any pressure. Thank you so much, Philip, for that very wonderful Q&A session. I think we have learned a thing or two. For those who have not learned, I hope you have enjoyed the breakfast, because there's nothing else you are going to get from this meeting. But thank you so much to our panel. I will excuse them so that they take their seats. And let us put our hands together one more time for the country manager, I&M Capital, Mr. Philip, and of course, our board chair, Mr. Francis Kamulegea, for that very, very wonderful. For those who need more information about I&M Capital, please take advantage of our placards that have been placed on the tables. They look like those placards for reserving tables. They have a QR code. Just scan it and it will give you a brochure that details each and everything about I&M Capital. Now, when you talk about capital markets, capital investments, and anything capital, there is a regulatory body. And ladies and gentlemen, we have the Capital Markets Authority, the regulatory body, the supervisor in charge of markets, who is here, Mr. Dennis Kizito. I hope he's here, to please come and share what the regulatory side of all this will be all about in a few minutes, because now the skies have released. The skies have opened up. So in a very short time, we request either representative from the Capital Markets Authority to come and share on the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dennis Kizito, and I stand before you to deliver remarks on behalf of my Chief Executive, Ms. Josephine Osia, who has not been able to come for this function. But before I do that, also to convey my regards and well wishes to I&M Capital, one of our latest entrants into the capital markets of Uganda. We wish you well on this journey that you've embarked on. Distinguished guests, members of board and management of I&M Capital, representatives of I&M Group, colleagues from financial services industry, institutional and retail investors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a pleasure to join you this morning at the launch of I&M Capital Breakfast Program under the theme, Unlocking Investment Opportunities. I wish to commend I&M Capital for creating this platform at a particularly important time in Uganda's economic transformation journey. This is not simply a platform for discussing investment products and market developments. It provides an opportunity for us to reflect on a much broader and more fundamental question. How do we convert Uganda's growing pool of savings into productive, long-term capital that finances businesses, infrastructure, innovation, employment, and ultimately creates sustainable household wealth? That question goes to the heart of the mandate of Capital Markets Authority and indeed to the future of Uganda's financial architecture. Uganda's development ambitions require us to think differently about the mobilization and allocation of capital. The National Development Plan number 4 places strong emphasis on sustainable industrialization, inclusive growth, employment, and wealth creation. It sets out and seeks to strengthen productive sectors, enhance private sector development, expand value addition, and improve household incomes. These ambitions are complemented by the 10-fold growth strategy, which seeks to transform Uganda from an economy of approximately $50 billion into a $500 billion economy by the year 2040. These are very ambitious targets, and rightly so. However, an economy cannot grow tenfold without a corresponding transformation in the way capital is mobilized, allocated, and deployed. This is where capital markets become strategically important. The development challenge before us is not simply whether Ugandans are saving. The more important question is, however, whether we are efficiently converting these savings into productive investments. Capital markets provide the mechanism through which savings can be transformed into equity, corporate debt, infrastructure finance, collective investment vehicles, real estate vehicles, investment vehicles, and other forms of long-term financing. They provide, therefore, a critical role to play in bridging the gap between those who have capital and those who require capital to undertake productive economic activities. We have already seen increasing and encouraging evidence of this transformation. Uganda's capital markets have recorded significant growth in recent years. By June 2026, the domestic market capitalization in the equities market had reached approximately 22 trillion Uganda shillings, while collective investment schemes or unit trusts had grown to approximately 7 trillion, approaching 8 as we talk now, in terms of assets under management. Over time, 11 Ugandan companies have been able to raise capital close to 1.2 trillion Uganda shillings through selling of shares, with another 9 companies raising 288 billion from issuing corporate bonds, and a total value of approximately 221.9 million has been exchanged through private equity and debt transactions. These represent substantial growth from the levels observed only in a few years ago. The expansion of collective investment schemes is particularly important because it demonstrates that Uganda's households and institutions are increasingly recognizing professionally managed investment schemes as an avenue for participating in capital markets. These numbers, however, should not simply be viewed as indicators of market size. They should be interpreted as indicators of market potential. If professionally managed investment vehicles can grow from hundreds of billions of shillings to several trillions within a relatively short period, then we should begin to think much more ambitiously about what fund management industry can contribute to Uganda's economic transformation. This brings me directly to the role of fund managers, such as I&M Capital. A fund manager is much more than an entity that manages money on behalf of investors. Fund managers are institutional allocators of capital. They occupy a critical position within the financial intermediation chain, connecting households, institutions, and other investors within governments, corporates, infrastructure projects, real estate assets, and other investment opportunities that require capital. The economic function of a fund manager is therefore fundamentally about efficient allocation of scarce capital. A fund manager assesses investment opportunities, evaluates risk and return, constructs portfolios, monitors performance, and makes decisions about where capital should be deployed. In simple terms, fund managers help answer 3 important questions. Where should capital go? At what level of risk? And for what expected return and economic purpose? This role becomes even more important as Uganda's financial system becomes deeper and more sophisticated. We need institutional investors with the capacity to assess increasingly diverse asset classes, understand complex risk-return relationships, and provide stable sources of long-term capital. A strong fund management industry can deepen demand for securities, support liquidity and price discovery, strengthen corporate governance among issuers, and provide the institutional foundation necessary for the development of new capital markets innovative products. This particularly is relevant as Uganda seeks to diversify its investment universe. Investment opportunities should no longer be viewed narrowly through the traditional lens of listed equities and government securities. These instruments remain important, though, but a mature capital market must provide investors with a broader range of appropriately structured opportunities. These include corporate bonds, infrastructure financing, real estate investment trusts, private equity, venture capital, green and sustainable finance investments, asset-backed and other innovative investment products that are available to partake of. The development of these products, however, requires both supply and demand. We need issuers that are prepared to bring credible investment-ready opportunities to the market, while at the same time, we need sophisticated institutional investors capable of understanding pricing and investing in those opportunities. It is therefore important that the development of Uganda's capital markets does not focus merely exclusively on increasing number of products. We must also develop the institutional capacity to absorb those products responsibly. The theme of today's program, Unlocking Investment Opportunities, is therefore highly relevant. Unlocking opportunity is not simply about identifying assets that have the potential to generate returns. It's about building the structures, institutions, information systems, government arrangements, and regulatory frameworks that enable capital to move efficiently towards productive opportunities. This is one of the reasons why Capital Markets Authority continues to position the capital markets of Uganda as an important component of Uganda's long-term development financing architecture. The authority's current strategic direction is aligned with the National Development Plan number 4, the 10-fold growth strategy, with emphasis on mobilizing long-term capital, expanding participation, supporting innovation and technology, strengthening market integrity, and enhancing investor protection. Our objective as regulators is not to regulate innovation out of the market. Rather, our responsibility is to create a framework within which innovation can occur responsibly while ensuring that investors are adequately protected and market integrity is maintained. We recognize that financial markets evolve rapidly and regulation must therefore evolve alongside. As the authority will remain committed to creating a facilitative, proportionate, risk-sensitive and predictable regulatory environment in which well-governed and adequately capitalized financial intermediaries can grow, innovate, and compete. We will continue to engage market participants, review the framework, strengthen supervisory capacity, support responsible innovation, and improve efficiency of regulatory processes. At the same time, facilitative regulation should never be interpreted as weak regulation. A growing market without integrity is not a successful market. Investor confidence, therefore, remains the most important asset of any capital market. Once confidence is lost, participation declines, capital becomes more expensive, and the development of the market is undermined. Our commitment, therefore, is to facilitate growth while maintaining high standards of governance, transparency, conduct, risk management, and investor protection. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look towards the ambition of a $500 billion economy by 2040, Uganda must begin to think about capital markets at a different scale. The question is no longer simply whether Uganda can establish a functioning capital market. We have done that. The question is whether we can scale those markets sufficiently to support the transformation of the Ugandan economy. Scaling the market will require a significant expansion in participation, assets under management, investable products, issuers, and institutional capital. It will require more households to participate in professionally managed investment vehicles. It will also require more companies to consider capital markets as a part of their long-term financing strategy. Again, it will require institutional investors to diversify their portfolios to develop greater capacity to assess alternative and productive assets. It will require intermediaries, such as fund managers, to innovate and respond to the changing investor needs. We therefore expect the fund management industry to play an increasingly strategic role in Uganda's economic transformation. Fund managers are expected to develop products that respond to different investor profiles, risk appetites, and investment horizons. We expect stronger investor communication and financial literacy levels. We expect robust management, sound governance, and fiduciary discipline. To fund managers and the other market intermediaries, I would emphasize that the growth opportunity before you is substantial, but so is the responsibility. As the industry grows, scale must be accompanied by stronger governance, robust management frameworks, transparency, suitability assessments, and clear commitment to protecting investors' interests. At the Capital Markets Authority, we remain committed to working closely with I&M Capital and ensure that the entire market is positioned to build capital that is deeper, broader, innovative, and more inclusive and trusted. Our ambition, therefore, is not simply to have a larger financial market, but to have a capital market that makes a measurable contribution to Uganda's economic transformation. Let us move from savings to investment, from investment to capital formation, and from capital formation to economic transformation. I therefore wish I&M Capital every success, and I look forward to seeing this program and their operations become an important platform for investment dialogue and capital market development in Uganda. I thank you very much for God and my country.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us appreciate Mr. Dennis Chizito from the Capital Markets Authority. He's the Director, Market Supervision from CMA. He came with the rain. That is, I think it's a blessing. Unless if this was a wedding, that would have been different. But I think these are showers of blessings for I&M Capital. We have almost come to the end of the function, and it gives me great honor to invite board member Mr. Suleiman Chigundu to come and give a word of thanks to each and every one of us who came here this morning to witness the launch of I&M Capital. So ladies and gentlemen, as a token of appreciation, as a word of thanks, please allow me to invite the board member, Mr. Suleiman Chigundu, to give you a word of thanks. Thank you.
Our guest speaker and chairman of the board of directors of I&M Bank Uganda, our regulators, Bank of Uganda and the Capital Markets Authority, members of the I&M family, including I&M Bank, I&M Capital, and the wider I&M Group, our valued customers, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As we come to the close of this wonderful occasion, it is my privilege on behalf of the Board of Directors of I&M Capital to extend our sincere appreciation to everyone who has joined us today. Now, for those who know me, I am loath to follow a script. However, I am going to resist the opportunity created by the reign of a captive audience, and I will stick strictly to my script. So first of all, our special thanks to our guest speaker, Mr. Francis Kamlegere, Chairman of I&M Bank Uganda. Thank you for not only honoring us with your presence, but for your inspiring words of wisdom, particularly around financial freedom, investing with purpose and intent, and diversification. I think we've all learned a lot from him today. And given your vast experience, your leadership and belief in this vision gives us great confidence as we embark on this exciting journey. We also extend our heartfelt appreciation to Mr. Robin Bairstow, CEO of I&M Bank Uganda. Thank you. Thank you for your continued support and commitment to building a stronger financial services group that delivers greater value to our clients and customers. To our regulator, especially the Capital Market Authority, represented here by Mr. Dennis Chizito, the Director for Market Supervision. Your presence here today is a strong vote of confidence in I&M Capital. Thank you. Lastly, but not, then I'll just also then want to appreciate and acknowledge our partners, our clients, and all the distinguished guests for taking the time out to celebrate this milestone with us. Your trust, support, and patronage is not taken for granted. It is treasured, and we will make sure that we honor our promise and relationship with you. Today is more than the launch of a new company. It is the beginning of a promise to help individuals, families, businesses, and institutions to build wealth through trusted advice, disciplined investment management, and long-term partnerships. Our ambition is to make investing more accessible and to become a trusted partner at every stage of your investing journey. Finally, I would like to thank the CEO of I&M Capital, Mr. Silas Mutuku, management, and the entire team at I&M Capital Uganda, as well as everyone else who has worked behind the scenes to make today's event such a success. Thank you all once again for being part of this important milestone. We look forward to working this journey with you as we build a stronger investment culture and a more prosperous future for Uganda. Thank you.
Let us appreciate our board member, Mr. Suleiman Chigundu, for sticking to the script. I have attended a couple of events where he doesn't want to leave power. We have come to the end of the breakfast lunch, and I think it has been successful and summarized by the rain. These are showers of blessings, definitely. And I want to recognize in a special way the team from the I&M Katogo Golf Series. They're here. You just wave. For those who don't know what the Katogo Series is all about, the golf series, you should attend one of the golf sessions at Entebbe Golf Club. You will understand why I&M is soaring, keeps succeeding, because the people who make the decisions for this country belong to that club in Entebbe. So I&M, you are doing well. We just pray I&M Capital also joins. They told me to talk to I&M Capital for more funding. Are we okay now? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a photo moment while the DJ plays for us some music. I will request our guest speaker and the board chairman to please come on stage. I'll request our CEO, I&M Bank, to also join us on the stage. I'll request the group CEO, I&M Capital, Mr. Silas, to also join us on stage, and the country manager, I&M Capital, Mr. Philip, to please also join us on stage. I request our photographers to please come and take your positions for this very historic moment for I&M Bank and, of course, I&M Capital, as we successfully launch I&M Capital on this, the 13th day of August 2026, right here at the Kampala Serena Hotel. So DJ, you can play for us some music in the background while our photographers take their positions and we have this photo moment. They are coming, we are sessions. Okay. I will request also the regulators, Bank of Uganda and Capital Markets Authority, if you're here, to please join the stage. If we have any representative from Bank of Uganda, please also join us on stage. We are coming. The chairman board is asking, where are the ladies? You are the ones who voted for yourselves. So, okay, members of the board, please let us also join. Board members, please also join the stage. And of course, as the board members come on the stage, Exco, please get ready to also join. The photographers will organize. Finally, some ladies joining. Let us have the ladies just mix. Okay. Exco. I&M Bank Exco. Okay, once we have the Exco, we need the four, Mr. Francis, Mr. Robin, and Silas and Philip, to stay while we have the members of the Exco team come on stage. I&M Bank Exco team. Then we have the I&M Capital management team as well. Get ready. Hey, I&M Exco, you are many. Well balanced. All right. Okay. We request the regulator, please stay. Exco team, you can excuse us while we welcome the team from I&M Capital to join you. Plus the regulator. We need the regulator to stay. And then the I&M Capital.
Sunrise creeping lazy on the window pane. Another Monday morning, same old rain. Coffee machine hissing a lonely tune. Wishing I could just stay in my cocoon. Then something shifted.
All right, with this exercise being completed, I would like to declare this function officially over. And there is no coincidence that the rain has as well stopped. For the ladies who have just made their hair and they didn't come here with a car, please stay around. We still have coffee. For those who have their transportation nearby, you are free to leave at will. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the team from I&M for giving me the honor and privilege of presiding over this function, this breakfast launch. And I don't take it for granted. I look forward to many other success stories when it comes to financial solutions courtesy of I&M, whether it's a banking solution for the card, for currency, or for capital. We say thank you to I&M Bank, because with I&M Bank, we are always on your side. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming through. You are free to leave at will. We still have some coffee for those who would like to take use of it. But please feel free. We wish you all the best in your endeavors and see you next time. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.